Pedro Ruiz III. On June 26, 2017, Pedro Ruiz III stood in the front yard of his home in Halstead, Minnesota. He was 22 years old. In his hands was an encyclopedia. His pregnant girlfriend, Mona Lisa Perez, stood a few feet away holding a .50 caliber Desert Eagle pistol. Pedro believed the book would stop the bullet. He had tested it beforehand, firing the gun into a separate encyclopedia to see if the round would penetrate. According to him, it did not. He was convinced the stunt was safe. 2 cameras were set up to capture everything. Mona Lisa had expressed fear. She did not want to do it. Pedro encouraged her to go through with it regardless. She pulled the trigger. The bullet passed straight through the encyclopedia and into Pedro's chest. He collapsed immediately. Mona Lisa called 911, screaming into the phone that a YouTube stunt had gone wrong. Pedro died at the scene before paramedics arrived. Mona Lisa pleaded guilty to second-degree manslaughter. She received 180 days in jail and 10 years of probation. She was pregnant with their 3rd child at the time of sentencing. The channel they were trying to grow had fewer than 30 videos. After Pedro's death, millions watched them. Grant Thompson. On July 29, 2019, Grant Thompson drove out to the desert near Hurricane, Utah. He was 38 years old. Most people knew him as the King of Random, a YouTube channel with over 11 million subscribers built on science experiments and DIY projects. That evening, he was not filming for the channel. He was paramotoring, a hobby he had only taken up 5 months earlier. Thompson was a former airline pilot. He was comfortable in the air. He had a camera mounted to the paramotor, as he usually did. Old habits. He never came home. His family filed a missing persons report that night. Search teams went out the following morning. Using GPS coordinates from a device he was carrying, authorities located his body in a remote area of the desert. Investigators reviewed the mounted camera footage. It showed everything. A sudden shift in the updraft caused the parachute to collapse mid-flight. Thompson was only 100 feet off the ground. There was no time to recover. He attempted to deploy the reserve parachute. The craft was already falling too fast. The footage was never released to the public. His channel was renamed TKOR and continued uploading in his memory. Achilles Williams. On a morning in March 2015, Achilles Williams and a friend climbed onto an active railway track in Atlanta, Georgia. He was 30 years old and a personal trainer with a growing fitness YouTube channel. His second video had already passed 1 million views. He was on his way up. That day, he wanted a striking shot. A skipping rope workout filmed with a freight train passing behind him. Something that would stop people from scrolling. They set up the camera. A freight train was visible in the distance. They misjudged the width of the carriages. The train struck Williams as he filmed. He was killed instantly. He had posted 9 videos. His death came just weeks after another fitness YouTuber had been killed on a railway track under nearly identical circumstances. 2 creators. 2 cameras, the same location, the same outcome. Pan Xiaoting. On July 14, 2024, Pan Xiaoting sat in front of her camera in her rented streaming studio in China. She was 24 years old. Her audience tuned in, as they always did, expecting another extreme eating session. Pan was a mukbang streamer. Her broadcasts could run over 10 hours. In a single sitting, she would consume upward of 22 pounds of food. She had started as a waitress. She quit after discovering she could earn more eating on camera. It had already cost her once. She had been hospitalized for gastric bleeding linked to her streams. She returned afterward and kept going. China had introduced laws in 2021 banning extreme eating content. Pan continued regardless. That evening, viewers watched as her condition began to deteriorate visibly on screen. Then she collapsed. The stream kept running. Nobody in the comments could help her. Pan Xiaoting was pronounced dead. An autopsy revealed her stomach was severely deformed and still packed with undigested food. It had ruptured. She had built an audience by pushing her body further than anyone else was willing to go. On July 14th, she went too far. Her camera recorded every second of it. Albert Derlund traveled to the Italian Alps to film content for his YouTube channel. He wanted dramatic footage, the kind that only comes from being somewhere most people would never go. The Alps deliver that. Sweeping ridgelines, sheer drops, views that fill an entire frame. They are also unforgiving. One misplaced step on an exposed face means there is nothing between you and the valley floor. That is what happened. During filming, Derlund slipped near the edge of a steep section of the mountain. He could not recover his footing. There was nothing to grab, nothing to stop him. He fell more than 600 feet. His death was not the result of a stunt. There was no dare, no challenge, no attempt to go viral. He was simply trying to film something beautiful in a dangerous place. The mountain did not make that distinction. Timothy Wilkes. On February 5th, 2021, Timothy Wilkes and a friend pulled into the parking lot of Urban Air Trampoline and Adventure Park in Hermitage, Tennessee. Wilkes was 20 years old. They were there to film a prank robbery video for YouTube. The format was simple. Approach strangers with weapons drawn, fake a robbery, capture their reactions on camera. Channels built on that kind of content had millions of subscribers. Wilkes and his friend were carrying butcher knives. They approached a group of people in the parking lot. One of them was 23-year-old David Starnes Jr. Starnes had no idea it was a prank. He legally carried a firearm. He saw two men rushing toward him with knives and made a decision in seconds. He shot Wilkes once. Wilkes collapsed in the parking lot and died at the scene. Starnes was not charged. Prosecutors determined his self-defense claim was valid under Tennessee law. The prank never made it onto YouTube. The case drew national attention and reignited debate about the ethics of prank content, about what creators owe to strangers they involve without consent, about whether the platform bears any responsibility when the pursuit of views ends with someone dead in a parking lot. Storm de Beul. Storm de Beul was 22 years old when he set out alone across Lapland. He was Belgian. He wanted to document a solo wilderness trek through one of the most remote and brutal landscapes on Earth for his YouTube channel. He went in winter. Lapland in winter does not forgive mistakes. Temperatures drop to lethal lows. Weather shifts without warning. Help is nowhere near. Somewhere out on the ice, an unexpected snowstorm hit. Conditions collapsed faster than he could manage alone. Storm had no way out and no one coming. Before he died, he recorded a final message. He knew what was happening. He said it on camera. When his body was found, the footage was recovered with it. Storm de Beul did not die chasing a stunt or a viral moment. He died doing exactly what he set out to do. Document the wild honestly and alone. The wild simply had the final word.